The geometry of the floor. Joel Embiid can make threes, and he embodies positionless basketball as well as any big in the game. But you don't want him launching 5 of them a game. And as the game continues to progress, you want him left block, 10 feet away, live dribble, either back to the basket or facing, with the ability to make a play. Where does that put the other 4 guys? Spotting up 3 of them, and the other one on the baseline in the dunker spot. The problem for Ben as a 6'10" point guard, the beauty of Brett Brown giving him the ball was not just the fact that he's a cerebral basketball player that's going to lead guys and have the second most assisted field goals in transition. It's also to mask the fact that he's not a shooter because he has the ball. So when Joel is operating at optimal effectiveness, Ben is on the baseline, that distorts the spacing of your offense. That's just off. So at some point, if they hope to win the Eastern Conference, let alone the NBA, he has to attempt and make shots outside of 5.6 feet, which you just showed is the lowest average amongst guards.
We don't need him to turn into Jason Capono from 3 or DeMar DeRozan from the mid-range. Like, it just needs to be something that the defense then has to respect. Because anyone who watched him in the playoffs knows that they were not showing any respect to him when he was on the perimeter with the ball. If they were closing him out, it was only just to keep him from driving. But you mentioned Elton Brand, and last year he made some gambles. I'm going to bring Jimmy Butler in for 1 year. He could leave. I'm going to bring Tobias Harris in for 1 year. He can leave. But what he's done this offseason has provided them something that not a lot of NBA teams have, which is complete and total stability. Like, you look at this full screen, right? They've got the starting 5 that you mentioned locked in for quite some time. Now, Richardson in 2022 has a player option, but look at how long that these 5 are signed through. Like, they're going to be together for quite some time. And with consistency brings familiarity, which helps bring success on the basketball floor. You're looking at this, and they've got like a 4-year window that they can tweak the pieces around them, tweak the role players. Like, this, to me, will bring an Eastern Conference championship over the course of this window.
In today's NBA, you can't look too far into how long they're signed through. Look at the deals that the Cavs gave multiple players on their roster when they had LeBron. LeBron bolted. They finally had to basically release J.R. Smith, and they still have Tristan Thompson. Look at the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you'd have put up their roster this time last year, you would have had Russ, PG, Adams, Robertson, all signed for long term. Now they've blown it up. So in theory, on paper, it works that you have that level of autonomy knowing that they're going to be there. But the reality in the way the game has changed and it's become more player-driven, Ben Simmons or one of those guys could jump up after a year or so and say, I'm unhappy to be here. So I would like to see Philly accomplish their goals. But again, Joel Embiid has to find ways to stay healthy when they need him the most. And Ben Simmons has to make shots outside of the paint. Tobias Harris has to be a better closer, a job that Jimmy Butler had last year. So if you notice, what I'm doing is elevating them all into new situations that we haven't been able to see in the past. We haven't seen Joel not miss playoff games. We haven't seen Tobias close for the for the Sixers. And we haven't seen Ben Simmons make shots outside of the paint. Though very talented, one of the best starting 5s in the league.
So you made a good point about sort of like, you can't really forecast that far forward in the league because you look at the Thunder, which is a really good example. And I would counter with this is that is a function of first-round exits in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, if the Thunder go to the conference finals, they're keeping it together. And I think that there is still pressure on this team to be successful. And in the Eastern Conference, I project that they will. I think they're going to make conference finals, and they're going to make NBA finals, and eventually sort of like keep this group together and build around them.
Well, that's up to the front office and or ownership to show a level of patience. Dame Dollar got a big deal. So does C.J. McCollum. Nurkic is in line to get one. And they just added Hassan Whiteside. And even though their team got swept the first couple of years, 2 years ago in the playoffs and last season, they didn't make a move. They kept their core intact. Made it to the conference final this year, which ultimately led to them being swept. For the Sixers, however, when you're in the Eastern Conference, say they get bounced in the first or second round over these next couple of years.
It can happen. We've seen it happen so many times. I wouldn't be surprised. Joel Embiid misses 3 games in a series.
And if you notice, we're talking so much about their starting lineup. We're not talking about their bench.
Well, that's kind of how I see him building that over time. Because a lot of times, when you know how this works in the NBA, you put that much energy and money into the starting lineup, it's hard to build around the edges. And one of those teams that could bounce them in the playoffs are the Milwaukee Bucks. They're a team that kind of kept the same thing they had last year, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is now the MVP. But he actually showed a new wrinkle to his game, Jalen Rose. No, not a jump shot. He was with the Yankees. Up, swinging a miss there. Missed a pitch that wasn't moving. Getting some tips. And then, he made a little contact. This is the first time he's ever swung a baseball bat. So, Jalen, maybe not exactly, Barry Bonds at the plate there. But what do you think about this performance from the young MVP?
I'm not here to throw shade or tease. Better yet, yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yes, I am.
Good.
It was his first time, so you can't be too critical.
Oh, yeah, you can. I can.
However, if you ever need some tips, Giannis, I got this Rod Carew thing down pat. You know what I'm saying?
Jalen talks a lot about his baseball prowess.
I got the Rod Carew thing down pat. You know what I mean? I wanted to be Ken Griffey. I wanted to be Barry Bonds, but I didn't have the power.
Okay.
I wanted to be Ricky Henderson, but I wasn't fast enough to steal bases.
A Wade Boggs
So now
type.
I realized I was like a Tony Gwynn type of hitter, You get me at the plate, I'm going to put that thing in play. That's why you see me carrying a baseball bat.
Ken Griffey, Barry Bonds, Tony Gwynn.
Rod Carew.
All those players have something in common.
They're left-handed.
Oh, that must be it. It's time for What's Your Number? Steve Kerr put a very interesting video on Twitter yesterday.
Are we going to ignore what Nick Young said about Steve Kerr?
Yeah.
All right, please continue.
Yeah, we are. That's exactly what we're going to do. And we did that last week, too. And it apparently was sent to him by David West. This video is shocking. Let's listen to it. Shaquille O'Neal.
If a coach takes a team to the finals 4 out of 5 years, I'll kiss his feet on Fear Factor with cheese on it. I will. It'll never be done again.
At the time he said that, I totally understand why he said that. But now looking back at it, there's something I want to make very clear. When he said with cheese on it, he meant natural toe cheese. He's not talking about nacho cheese from the movie theater. He means natural toe cheese. Jalen Rose, what is your number? How much money do you need to kiss a foot with bacteria, stinky toe cheese on it?
A couple of things. I got to text to Big Diesel because he owes the league. He put this on wax.
He did.
He said this into a microphone, and he was feeling real good about his personal accomplishments with the Lakers.
And I understand why. Because at that time, I would have felt the same way.
So much so, a lot of times we feel like what we were able to achieve, nobody's going to be able to do it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the Golden State Warriors happen. So we got to find a way, even if it's for charity, to get some version of Shaq and Steve Kerr paying off this bet.
This is going to happen over time.
Okay, let's talk about that.
This is getting too big now.
Number 2, other than my wife, I ain't kissing nobody's toes except my daughter.
What's number? $100 million? You're saying no? $100 million?
I'll tell you the feet that I'm kissing.
Tell me the number.
Mary Bell Hicks, Jeannie Cassandra Rose, Molly Karen Rose, Mariah Christian Rose, Jeannie Sophia Grace Rose. Those are the only toes I'm kissing. I had times in my life, just so you know, I used to be watching cartoons in the morning, feeling like I was gonna be Dr. J. And I used to be doing push-ups in front of the TV and sit-ups. And you know what else? I was stretching. And one of the stretches was putting my toes in my mouth.
We'll be back with more on Jalen and Jacoby.
Got to give the people